Let's hand over to Zubaida now, so that she can get started. Yes. So Zubaida, over to you.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think I should just start, right? Before my network goes off again. Is everyone here? Hello?
Yeah. Sorry, ask the question.
We can hear you.
Okay, so can I proceed or
yes, sorry, please go ahead, Zubaida. I had handed
for
over to
others to
you.
join? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just go ahead with it before my network goes off. So good morning and good afternoon. And my name is Zubaida Baba Ibrahim, and I will be training us on assessing solutions-oriented story pitches, and also how to source for them and how to edit. So I will just share my screen now, and then we can just begin. Okay, so I'm not able to share my screen. So what's happening?
Sorry, you can't share your screen.
Chinonso, are you there?
Yes. You said you can't share your screen.
No, I can't.
Oh, I thought I made you a co-host so you could be able to do that.
You can just try again.
Okay. Let me.
Kamau.
All right. Okay. So I just made you a co-host. Try sharing your slides again.
Okay, yeah. So I'm able to. Yeah, I am able to share my slides now. Can everyone see the slides?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so yeah. Welcome to the second session for this training in collaboration with Shahidi News and Crime Journalists Association of Kenya and the Solutions paper here in Nigeria. So I'll just try and make it quick, but first of all, I want to know like what do you understand about solutions journalism so far? So who wants to stand by solutions journalism from their previous training?
Sorry, Zubaida, I don't think we can hear you properly. You might have to increase your volume. Your voice is a bit faint.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah, it's much better now. Yeah.
Okay.
Much louder. Yeah, it's much
Okay.
louder.
So what I was saying is, before we go ahead, I just want to know what the attendees or the trainees understand about solutions journalism. Like, what did they take away from their previous training, even if it was from yesterday's training? So who would like to go first? Who would like to go first? Don't be shy.
Please, you can unmute and answer our question if you want to attempt. You can go ahead and unmute. Zadok, you were saying something?
Yeah.
It's just reporting that focuses on response to social issues,
Okay.
as well as focus on the problems themselves.
All right. That's actually great. There are no wrong answers. So that is what is part of what solutions journalism is. Who wants to go next? Who wants to tell me what they took away from previous? Sorry, who said that? Is it Collins? Okay, so who would like to also like tell me what you can say about the pillars of SoJo and what have been your reflections on it, like since you learned about the pillars, the 4 pillars, and what is your own reflections or your own thoughts about it? Who would like to answer that? Let's make this session as interactive as possible so that I understand how the session would go. So please don't be shy, just unmute yourself and just tell me, even if it's just one thing. Hello.
I'll take that.
Okay.
The 4 pillars of solution journalism was or is, it covers, response to a problem. You explain what the that shows what the solution is, or that it is really working, and then you also have to give insights on how the solutions can help others and the limitations to the solutions.
Okay, absolutely. That is correct. It's about the response, how it's being done, who can learn from it, and then what are the limitations. That's actually correct. So who wants to go next? Who has like a different perspective to what the 4 pillars are? Who wants to go next? Okay, so I guess we have a shy crowd, so we'll just go on. So yeah, so like Immaculate said, it's just about the responses to social problems, and then how it's being done, what is being done, and what are the limitations, as well as what can people take away from it. So yes, we'll just refresh what the 4 pillars are. So like I'm sure like the previous session has already told you, it doesn't like feature a person. Solution journalism does not feature a person or the organization or whoever is doing it. It just features what is being done. What is the solution to the problem? What is the response? And then there has to be evidence. It's not just about intentions, or it's not just about a plan, like a future plan. It's like something that is currently being done or something that has been done in the past. And then you just like take it up and look at it again from a solutions angle. And then you provide insights. That is the how, the workings of, like, if it was maybe, let's say, an empowerment scheme, you can like look at what are the processes and all of that. If it's like an intervention, you can look at how that intervention is working and who it is serving. So that's the insights, and the limitations is because solutions are not perfect. So you look at, okay, who is it not serving? Why is it not serving them? What are the challenges the person is facing, or the response is experiencing? So yes, that's just like what the 4 pillars are. And so yeah, we'll just go right into it. So assessing SoJo pitches, and if you're a writer, there's a certain way you can look at solutions journalism. But if you begin to publish, or you begin to edit SoJo pieces, there's also a way that you look at it. So first of all, you have to ask yourself, why should our readers care? So if you are running like a publication or an media outlet, it doesn't even need to be like text-based. It can be audio or broadcast, more of like video. You should look at, why should your readers care? Of course, every like media outlet has its particular readers, has its appeal to the readers. So you should look at, why should your readers care? Why is it important to your readers? And that is where the problem comes, like where the problem invisible pillar comes, because I like to think of problem as an invisible pillar of SoJo, because you can't just start writing about a response if there's not a problem there. So that's where you start looking at, okay, what is the problem and why is this important for my readers? So yes, that is one. And sorry. So yes, that is the first thing you should look at. And then the second thing is, what is the storytelling element? So you have to look at, okay, who is this story about, or who are the people involved in this response? So in pitches, usually you just don't pitch something and say, oh, I want to write about this, without like knowing to an extent what the piece is about. So you've already done like maybe your background check, you've already done like some investigations. So yes, the person writing it should be able to tell you what is the storytelling element of it. So what are beneficiaries telling? What are the beneficiaries saying? So yeah, another thing you should also look at is, how does the report impact the community? Of course, you just don't write a report for reporting's sake. You just don't write stories for just telling it. So you have to look at, what are the potential impacts? Will it make things better? Will it escalate those responses? For example, if to say you were in a place, or you were reporting about a community that did not have, let's say, a hospital, and then someone donated or decided to set up a clinic and all of that, and then the people are telling you that the clinic do not have adequate medicine or something like that. So of course, as an editor, you have to look at, okay, if I commission this piece, or if I give a green light for this writer to write this piece, would it's me publishing it, will it impact the community? Will it make more medicine in that clinic? Will there be more medicine? Will there be more interventions to make that response better? So yes, that's also something that I would look at if I was assessing a SoJo pitch. So, and then there has to be like qualitative and quantitative data. So yes, this can be about the problem, or let's say it can be about, okay, let's say in a community that do not have clinics, okay, let's say maybe there are 100,000 people, or let's say there are 50 people. And then it can also be for the response, if the clinic is serving so people. So the writer should be able to tell you, okay, this clinic serves this amount of people in this community. And also qualitative data, that is, like I said, if there's enough information to back that story. So yes, I think the fifth one will be if there's relevant expert sources. So yes, sometimes we focus on beneficiaries of response and the response givers, but also you need that expert to also tell you from an objective view, okay, this is how this affects these people, or this is how this can affect these people, or this is how something can impact these people and stuff. So yes, if you're writing about a clinic and then something like maternal mortality comes up, you need someone to, like, in the public health sector, to tell you, okay, this is how this thing can increase maternal mortality or decrease it to an extent. So that is something too that you should look out for when you're greenlighting a pitch. So, and also the pitch needs to have like limitations. It's not all about, okay, this is what's working, this is who it's serving, these are the people affected, these are the people impacting, this is what an expert told me. It should also have its limit. You should, the you as an editor need to see that this writer is coming from an objective place and is telling you what are the limitations of this response. So yes, it's just like looking at the four pillars again, but as an editor, not as a writer, as an editor. So I also want to like just say that it is important for SoJo pitches to reflect what the publication stands for and what it represents. So you guys are crime journalists. Of course, you do not pick pitches. You would not accept pitches about maybe, let's say, a development thing, unless that thing is related to crime or related to public safety or something like that. So yes, and you do not pick pitches that, let's say, it's in the entertainment industry, unless it's related to crime. So it's important to also like not just grab every pitch or not just okay every pitch. You have to like tell yourself, okay, if this person is writing about this, how does it serve my publication? How does it add to what is on my website or what is on my platform or things like that? So so yeah, and SoJo can be reported in different topics and all of that, but it's you as an editor, you need to like keep it fine-tuned to publications, focus, and style. So yeah, this is some of the guidelines from solutions paper pitch templates that we get pitches from. So we ask about the headline, what is like your working headline or your working title. We ask about the problem first. Okay, what is the problem and why should we care? That's basically what it means. So we also like tell writers to describe the response, what is being done, if it's physical, if it's something like empowerment, if it's like knowledge based, tell us what it is, describe it to us, and then how does the response work? So the steps involved, okay, is it from step one, if you come to this intervention or if you come to this support group, this is what they do, this is what they do, this is what they do. So yes, evidence of impact also. So the evidence of impact, this is where beneficiaries or affected communities talk about like what was their struggle before the intervention and how is it now after. So like I said, sources are important, like not only the beneficiaries, experts, people giving the responses. If it's in a small village, you talk to the village head, you get as much voices as possible. So limitations of the response, like I've explained, the imperfections and the angle of the story. Do you want to start the story from the person giving the response, describing what the response is? Do you want to start by telling us the problem? Do you want to start by beneficiary accounts? Do you want to start by from the expert view? So these things are what we consider as solutions papers, but of course you can tweak it to like how you would want, especially for more of like broadcast outlets that use audio and videos. You can always tweak it in the way that your audience would understand it. So yeah, how to edit SoJo story. So yeah, like I said, sticking to publication style is very important, and standardized practice. So like I explained earlier, you do not have a publication about, let's say, public safety like you all do, and then you start writing about entertainment if it does not represent what you stand for. You do not, if whenever you see that in a SoJo piece and then it's not really highlighting what your publication is about, I think that is the point where you flag it out and say, okay, fix this, or you just tell the writer that, okay, if you don't fix it, we would not be able to publish it because it is not part of our style. So yeah, it also discusses the solution. The discussed solution must be related to the problem. So yes, there are times that you would edit a piece. The person is telling you, okay, this is the problem and this is the solution. But at the end of the day, you see that the solution is not really targeting the problem, or it's something quite different. It might be a solution to something else, but not the problem that the person is writing about in the article. So yes, you should also be aware of that. Like you should have like that keen eye to see that, okay, this response actually is related to the problem that this writer is talking about. So yeah, so let the response be the lead and the problem be the contextualizing factor. So yes, I know, like I said, some people have a style of like maybe writing the problem first, but an ideal SoJo piece, I feel like, should talk about the response first. Like let it be the lead of the story. When someone clicks, he should know that, okay, this is a solutions piece. So yes, it should be the lead, and the problem should be the context factor. It should be the thing that is contrasting, not the actual what the piece is about. I don't know if I'm making sense, but yes, the problem is not in traditional mainstream media. Usually, you open up the news reports or the feature with like the problem. You describe the problem and then you say, okay, this is how it's affecting people and stuff like that. But an ideal SoJo should let readers know that, okay, this is SoJo from the first 3 sentences. So I feel like the response should be the lead, and then maybe if you talk about the response for like 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, you can now say, okay, but before this was what happened, and then this is why. Stuff, it goes both ways for writers and editors too. So it could be that a writer may introduce the piece from the problem. It is your duty as an editor to put the response first. So yeah, the report needs to extensively talk about the response rather than the problem. I just spoke about this, and then the pillars must be focused on the solution more than anything else. So yes, the pillars, the response, evidence, insights, and limitations should be focused on the solution, not anything else. Like not even like who is giving the solution or who is funding it or anything like that. It should be just on the response and nothing else. And of course, sometimes when you interview beneficiaries on a particular thing, they start telling you other things that you did not really ask them, but because you are giving them that safe space to like talk about what is bothering them and how this response came, they start telling you things that are not related. So yes, it's sometimes writers tend to like just drop all of that into a piece. So it's your duty to just shave these things off if the description is not related to the response or related to the problem. Just do away with it, and then maybe the writer can use those bits for something else. So yes, and yeah, that's actually what padding is. And so yeah, you remove those paddings and you cut out unnecessary detail. So yes, so yeah. So where to find SoJo stories? So I like to believe that there are no really set guidelines. It is just like a matter of mindset and perspective. So if you are a solutions journalist, you just have it in you that to ask people, okay, what's the response? Sometimes you go to the field, right? You go to the field to like investigate a problem. I go to the field a lot of times to cover like maybe humanitarian crisis and all of that. But at the same time, sometimes whenever I go there and then I get like displaced people and they're telling me about how they got displaced, how they are now in displacement camps and all of that. I just ask them, okay, so now that you've told me you're hungry and the living condition is so bad, how are you coping? So this is this is one question you can ask all the time. How are you coping? Or is there anything that is being done to solve this problem? Some will tell you, oh yeah, this organization came to do something for us, or this person comes to donate things for us. And that's your SoJo story. So you just like, when someone tells you that, you just say, oh, really? Can you tell me more about it? What is it about? How is it? How did you know about them and stuff? You just engage them on that particular thing. So yes, like I said, you should always have it in the back of your mind to know that every problem has a solution. So it is your duty as a writer to ask if there's a solutions angle, and then you pursue it. You ask people about it. You look at it extensively. You investigate it, and then so there's also something called solution story tracker. So I find that very helpful too. Even though some of the stories on that tracker are in, let's say I'm from Nigeria and you're from Kenya, so maybe let's say the response is maybe let's say in South Africa. So you can read about it and then you can just check the internet if someone is also doing this thing in your own context, and then you can write about it in your own context, and it's a beautiful story. So solution story tracker actually has a lot of stories where writers, editors just add stories there, and then it will be indexed after review. So that's where sometimes I get my ideas. And then, like I said, NGOs do things, CSOs do things. So you could always like look at what they're doing and then reach out to them, reach out to people that are being impacted by what they're doing. So yes, so if we have any questions, I think that you can ask now. It doesn't matter if you don't have a question, just you can tell me your own observations. You can have like a quick comment.
Thank you very much, Zubaida, for this very enlightening class. Personally, I've learned something, which I'll probably share later. So for CJAK members, this is the time for questions, observations, or comments. You can unmute and ask a question or use the chat box. So yeah, questions or comments, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Leila Mohammed. So my question to you, Zubaida, is in your line of work, what are some of the themes where it is easy to find solution-based stories? For example, someone can tell you the impact of climate change on security in certain parts of Kenya, for example. How then do you progress to do a solution-based story around such a theme?
Okay, so the thing is, I spoke about organizations, but it doesn't even have to be organizations. The thing is, even people in communities, let's say, yeah, just like maybe in a neighborhood, you see that they have like this group where they tackle these things. Let's say maybe a neighborhood watch, or maybe just a group of young women, a group of young men just doing these things. So like I said, whenever I go to the field and people are telling me their stories of woes and stuff like that, I listen to that, but then I am keen to find out, okay, what is being done. You can always ask, if you go to a place where you said maybe let's say climate change is affecting security in a certain area, you go to that area and just ask around, like maybe say, okay, I want to interview you, and then they tell you what's happening, and then you ask them, okay, what is being done. So yes, I know things like, let's say, flooding sometimes can affect security, and a whole lot of climate shocks actually affect security. So I think that is a way you can do that. Or like I said, organizations, you can just like check some organizations that work around like climate change or the impact of it, and just like talk to them and find out what they do, and then if they can give you like sources. Well, by sources I mean, okay, if they are working in a particular area to enhance like security in that area, you can just say, oh, I would like to visit and see what you're doing, what are the processes, talk to some of the people that you've impacted, and then you have your story actually. And I hope I have answered your question, but if you would like to explain your question further, that's fine. You can still ask me. So while we ask questions, I would want to just share this.
Yeah, there's also a message on the chat box. I think a question for you as well.
Okay, from Collins. Yeah. I just saw. Okay, so what kind of stories do I cover in Nigeria? So I'm more of a humanitarian and development reporter. So I mostly cover things around displaced people. I cover things about flooding, access to food, access to humanitarian crisis, things around malnutrition. Yeah, so basically things around healthcare, things around education as well. So basically, these are the type of stories I tell. But of course, like I do SoJo mostly, even in the organization I work for, I do SoJo mostly. But there are times that you go to the field and people are telling you what they're going through, and you just have to write about that in a separate thing. Then at the end of the day, you now write your own SoJo, and then you then link them and say, okay, this is the problem in so reports you wrote about, okay, how these things manifested, but this is the response and how it's working. So yeah, I hope I have answered your question.
Good afternoon, Zubaida. I'm Hudson Gumbi, and I really wish to know if you've done solution journalism on Boko Haram. You know, it's a serious security problem back in Nigeria. And if you've done, can you give us examples of how you tackled that story, given the fact that the organization is still a thorn in the flesh of the government? We've not seen any end to the existence of the illegal organization.
Okay, so yes, I have written about Boko Haram. I've done a solution story about Boko Haram, but like I said, because I focus more on the development and humanitarian crisis side, it's not really about the conflict itself. It's about how the conflict has affected the people in the community. So what happened is, I think in 2021, or was it 2020, the terrorists attacked like an electrical grid facility where the grid was distributing electricity to people in Borno and in the neighboring states. So when they attacked it, they didn't have lights for almost a year. So what I did is, when we heard that, and then I asked, okay, so it says there's no electricity, like there's no hope for electricity coming back soon, because initially the government even fixed it, but it was attacked again because the terrorists wanted people to stay without electricity. So I was just asking, okay, so since there's no electricity, how do you guys cope? And then, while some people told me they use generators, other people told me they use solar power. So I just focused on the solar power. I told the story about how people use solar power to power like their houses and their businesses. And I had my SoJo story, and you see, even though like it had that Boko Haram element to it, it had that conflict element to it, I still wrote about the positives of how people in that community are resilient. It shows resilience, it shows hope that, okay, yes, even though these people do not have access to electricity, some people are actually powering their houses with solar powers. So yes, and of course there were limitations as well, as because not everyone can afford solar energy and stuff like that. But that was a story that's it's one of the stories that have been recognized in the solutions journalism sphere for, because I wrote about that. So yes, usually when you write about the problems all the time, people have that notion, because I remember when I was a kid, and then people would tell me about like the conflicts in a state in the north central part of Nigeria. I don't know if you know Plateau State. I would think that, oh, because the conflict is so bad, nobody should be living there. But there was a time I was traveling through it, and I saw people. I even thought like maybe I saw fire and bombs, but I saw people living their lives. And yes, so yes, even though yes, we know there's Boko Haram in the northeast, I wrote about that, and it was really like one of my well-recognized pieces. And if I can also, I can share it here. Let me just get it quickly. So in the chat box, okay, there's a question. Okay, Zadok said if I can share some of the stories. Okay, I will share one that I've written, but it's not for solutions paper. So and then in the line of my duty or duty, does the government give you assistance or help, and it's up to what extent? Okay. Also, are there instances when you need to use money in exchange for stories in your line of duty in Nigeria? Yeah, a lot of times. Okay, so the government really does not give you assistance if you are not writing for a platform that is government owned. And if government gives you assistance, that means you're not writing SoJo, because SoJo talks about limitations, talks about the imperfections of the response. And then when someone is giving you assistance to write their stories, of course, they would never want you to shine that thing. They just want to tell you to tell people only the good part, then say, okay, this is why he's doing it and stuff like that. They want you to just like blow their horn. So yes, if anybody pays you to write about their organization, you tell them no. And then also, if there are instances where I needed to use my money in exchange of stories, yeah, a lot of times people do not talk till you give them money, especially when you're in displacement camp where people are hungry. If you expect me to tell you about something, okay, just give me 500 naira because I'm hungry and I need to eat first. So you have to give them that. So, and I know it's kind of unethical in journalism practice to like give money in exchange of story, but the thing is, once you're in the field and you have like a limited amount of days and you're going back and forth, and nobody is cooperating, some will tell you, okay, you know what? you people always come here to ask us questions, and then sometimes it's not even you as a journalist, it's not even your colleagues in journalism. Maybe they're just people from NGOs that come to ask them questions, but they can't really differentiate. So they will tell you, oh, you guys always come here to ask us questions, and we need you, and you leave us without anything. We don't hear from you, we don't see anything. But if you want me to tell you about this thing, I can, but you have to give me money for food, or you have to give me money for my child's medicine or something like that. And then sometimes it's not even because you just want the story out of them. Sometimes even out of pity, you just have to like give them something and say, okay, this is just like a charitable money to just take care of yourself, and I appreciate you for telling me your story. So yes, sometimes it's actually needed. It's unethical, but it's actually needed.
I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think if just Raja Brahmanan, just in case if you pay and the person turns around and says, this person gave us money, don't you think that's a problem? Because someone will tell you something just because you pay money. That's inducement. So the high chances that you will not be able to get a very objective view about it, because the inducement is either he bought me some food or he did ABCD. And the danger is if the story goes out, and mostly like in Kenya, we normally have a lot of troubles, and our colleagues have had such troubles where people will just say, I told him because he paid me. So aren't we becoming like we're buying stories?
Well, like I said, it actually depends on the context. So yeah, if you're bribing, let's say maybe a government official to tell you something, that's bribery. But like I said, since I work with like most displaced people that do not really have food, and then they tell me that they need 500, I don't know what 500 naira is in Kenyan currency, but it's like just like a minuscule amount of money. And then they tell me that, you see, my child is sick, or I've not been able to have food, and if you could just help me. I feel like 500 naira to just help someone eat is really nothing if you are interviewing the person and they tell you everything and you need to know, and then they say, okay, please, can you help me? But if you're talking to like maybe someone in an organization or a government official or someone that you know is well to do or well off without your 500 naira, and then the person says, oh, you have to pay me, that's actually corruption, and that's bribery. So if the person is hiding information from you till you pay them, I feel like you should not pay them, and then you should add it in your report that the person asked for money. So yes, so yeah, it actually depends on the context. So I think there are more questions here in the chat box. So how can you approach SoJo story where the solution used is illegal, or where evidence cannot be sustained? Okay. I'm currently following up on story addressing urban alcoholism in central Kenya. Few people who are into say they quit alcohol after they started smoking weed. Oh wow. So that's Akelu. So do you want to like explain to me what is the response here? Is it that the weed is the response? If you can just like explain it to me, please.
Yes.
Is he here? Okay. Oh, sorry, you're a woman. Sorry.
Yes, Akelo is the Secretary General of CJAK. So, Akelo, please go ahead and explain a bit more about your question.
So I'm even wondering if that exact story is a solution journalism, because it will be considered solution journalism because the problem is alcoholism in central Kenya, but the people I'm talking to I've been asking them how they manage with they were addicts for a long time and they stopped. So I asked them how they did, and they said they stopped after after they started smoking weed. And so I have no way to prove that, weed helps drunkards stop or alcoholism recover. And I also do not know if, this is even a solution that you can use, because weed in Kenya is illegal.
Mhm. Okay, I think that is tackling a social problem with another social problem. So, well, I think you can portray it as a SoJo, but then there's something that we learned recently about writing structural failures or responses that fail. And I think that is a whole different session for that. But my social media handles are on display right now. So you guys can just like follow me, because I know 1 hour to learn about SoJo is really, really small. So yes, you can just follow me or add me, and then we can just pick it up from there. Please don't forget to fill the feedback form. I would really, really appreciate your feedback. And so yeah, so Colin said he welcomes me to Kenya, and truly I've been wanting to visit Nairobi since like maybe I was 11. So I was to you all whenever I am in Kenya. Enjoyed the sessions today. All right, great. Nonso, I think we should wrap it up, right?
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Zubaida, for this very, very insightful class. Lots and lots of questions. That shows the lesson was great. So before we wrap it up, I would like us to, Zubaida dropped a link on the chat box for a Google form. Please let's fill it. Very grateful if you do that. And once again, just like we did yesterday, I would like us to put on our camera. So just take a quick selfie. Let's do that in the next 5 seconds to wrap up. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, so okay, fine. All right. So I just want to thank everyone again. The leadership of CJAK, Zadok and Kelly for making sure we have this number of attendants, and I also want to thank Zubaida for facilitating this very wonderful class. I'm sure we've all learned a lot of things about solution journalism from yesterday's session and even today's session. I just want to encourage us. This partnership is meant to further expand the practice of solution journalism, especially infusing solutions journalism in crime reporting, because we all know CJAK, a lot of CJAK members are crime reporters and investigative journalists. So we want to see more solution-focused reports around crime fighting. So if there is a state or a region in Kenya with lesser crime rates compared to other counties, well, you could have a solution story there. We are really looking forward to seeing a lot of collaboration between CJAK and the solutions paper. I also know a lot of CJAK members work in various media organizations in Kenya, aside from Shahidi News. So we're also looking forward to partnering with journalists and editors to see that solution-focused stories are published on their platforms and media organizations, as well as the solutions paper. We've already created a WhatsApp group, and I look forward to receiving pitches from members of CJAK. Of course, they'll be published on the solutions paper, and we also pay a certain stipend for our story. But like I said, we're also looking to see these stories being published in media organizations across Kenya, and not only on the solutions paper. So thank you all very much for attending this this session from yesterday to today. Look forward to more collaborations and more solution-focused stories and pitches from each and every one of us. Thank you all very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Zubaida, and bye, everyone. Bye.